Good day and welcome to an interview between myself and Dr. Jianping Wang, our newest president of Mercer County Community College. I have some other questions I would like to ask you. Where did you hear about the community college movement, if you will?
And that's another very interesting story. I can honestly say my life is full of stories.
No problem.
So I applied to Harvard Graduate School of Education along with 10 other graduate school of education, top 10 graduate school of education in the United States. Mm-hmm. But I was working at McDonald's, making $4 some change an hour, way back in 1989. Yes, yeah. And I didn't have the money to pay for application fee. Because if you apply for 10 schools, that's $750. Easily. I don't have that kind of money. So I write 19-cent stamp letter to every school and say, I'm a poor international, new, visitors, and I don't have the money to pay for application fee. Can you please waive the application fee? Everybody says no. The only school that said yes is Harvard. And so I always tell everybody, by default, I went to Harvard. And everybody laughed at me and thinking, oh, what a default, mm-hmm. Who are you? Mm-hmm. But it's the truth. I couldn't apply anywhere else. I don't have the money. So I applied one school, and they accepted me. So by default, I went there.
Lovely.
And it was there I took a course called College Presidency. Because I'm studying higher education and administration. So in that course, it's really not a course taught by a professor. It was a course taught by all university presidents, young, old, retired, still working, male, female, black, white, all kinds. So one day, we had a community college president because Harvard is in Boston. Mm-hmm. So there is a community college called Roxbury Community College. Oh, wow. And it's a minority serving institution. And they just got a brand new president, African American female, Grace Brown, Dr. Grace Brown. So the professor invited her to come to the class. She was most passionate about what she was doing. And she very, very eloquently talked about the mission of a community college. And I was fascinated by it. Never heard of anything like that. So after the class, I walked up to her and I said, Dr. Brown, can I interview you for my course paper? And she said, oh, sure. Give me a card. So I made an appointment to go see her. We sat down, and she turned the table around, asked me a gazillion of questions. And I'm sitting there for 2 hours, talking with her about leadership, governance, and all the things that I learned from the textbooks. But she has all these other insight into it. I was getting fascinated by this. 2 hours later, I said to myself, wait a minute, you are coming here for an interview. You haven't had a chance to ask her any questions. So I said, Dr. Brown, I enjoy our conversation, but I have a paper to write. I haven't asked you any questions. When I get to do that? She said, oh, don't worry, you'll be back. And I said, when? She said, whenever you want. And I said, how? She said, don't worry, just call my secretary, set up a time, you'll be back. So I set up a time the following week. I showed up. I want to ask a question. I have a list of clipboard like yours. And she said, no. Before we do this, now sign the contract. And I said, what? Do I have to sign a contract for an interview? I never heard of that. She said, no. It has nothing to do with that. I said, so why do I have to sign a contract? She said, you're going to work for me. And I said, what? I don't even know what a community college is about. Why you want to hire me for? She said, I can hire a lot of people from this street. They know a lot more about the community colleges than you. But you have one thing I want. And I said, what is that? He said, you think out of the box. And at that time, I have only been in this country for 2 years. So I didn't know a lot of idiomatic expressions. So I have no idea what think out of the box mean. So I'm saying,
Where's the box?
where's the box?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she burst into laughter just like you.
Yes.
So she said, and I said, what's so laughable about that? You know? So she said, that's what I'm talking about. And I said, oh, good. You know what you're talking about because I don't. I have no clue what you're talking about. So I became her special assistant. And she puts me in charge of shared governance and accreditation.
So this moves you beyond theory into practice.
And I asked her, I said, what is accreditation? She said, don't worry. I'll tell you, but you'll get it done. I'll tell you what it is and you'll get it done. And I said, how am I going to get it done? She said, I'm not worried about it. You'll get it done. So that's how I started. I got at Roxbury 10-year accreditation for the first time in the history of its college.
Oh, well, so then this is divine providence, truly. And I won't say any more because you know what I'm talking about or you know what I'm hinting at with respect to middle states. So, Roxbury, very diverse,
Very
culturally diverse. How did you handle and how have you handled the question of diversity in your experience? Administratively, being vice president of academic affairs, being the assistant to the president, how have you handled it? And I know that things are, although we say it's different in the various countries, there are nevertheless these little ethnic, national rivalries.
Oh, yeah.
So how have you handled this diversity question, if I may, or issue?
I'm so glad you asked this question. I was meeting with representatives from Italian community this morning, and we talked about diversity. And I said, this nation is built on immigrants, by immigrants. We are presumably one of the best nations in the world because of that, not because of other things. And immigrants and diversity is not something we should tolerate. We need to celebrate. This is what makes our country the best, the most attractive, the most beautiful. And diversity allows all of us to be better off. If you only know people just like you don't know anything else. That's not good.
Good.
And so I view diversity as an enormous asset to the strength of an organization and a country. So I want to know more about other cultures and other peoples who have different background than mine, because that make my life richer, make my perspective broader, make my knowledge more comprehensive, make my living more colorful. And I just, can't emphasize how important it is. I use this example and people think it's kind of an extreme example. I said, would you like to eat the exact same thing every day, every week, every month, every year, throughout your entire life?
Not at all.
The answer is probably not. You'll be sick of it.
That's right.
Well, why would you want everybody to be just like you? Don't you want to know some people who are not like you?
Now let me bounce this one off you then. And I thank you for your response to my question. What about those of us who may come from different cultures and see women, the role of women, differently? How do you handle something like that?
Well,
to the point where, excuse me for interrupting, and then I'm going to let it go. Even to the point where we will sabotage or seek to sabotage a woman who is in the role of leader. How would you handle something like that?
Well, to me, anybody who is doing anything less than constructive to another human being, the rudimental cause is insecurity of the person who's doing it.
Got it.
If you feel very secure for who you are and where you are in your life, you will have no intention to make another person miserable. You know, only is you are not doing so well, and you're worried that somebody else might be doing better than you are, and then you will say, look, let me figure out whatever. I have a philosophy. Everybody has limited brain cells. My advice to myself and to everybody else who care to listen is don't waste them. Do something constructive.
Yeah.
You know, because doing destructive things also kill your brain cells. So you want your brain cells to work for good purposes, not for bad ones.
Indeed.
You know, and some people ask me and say, how do you deal with all these, you know, complaints and grievances, lawsuits? I said, I just say, you know, some people chose to do things that are not very constructive. That's their problem. I choose to live a life that's constructive, not destructive. I want to build something, not destruct something. And so it doesn't bother me when they do that. I only wish they don't, because they're hurting themselves more than they hurt anybody else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. So.
Okay, Dr. Wang. Now, how, if I may ask, do you handle, or how have you handled a situation in which things were not going as you would have liked them to go? And what errors did you make? Or let's put it like this, I won't ask you that. How might you have changed your response if your response was not one that was constructive?
Well, we all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And to err is humane.
You just took my thought.
Homer.
Yes.
And but to correct is divine.
We're on the same page.
Yeah. So a lot of times, people want to show other people that they are infallible. No one is. So when you try to project a persona that is not on the solid ground, the facade is going to collapse. So I don't worry about that. I'm who I am. And when I make mistakes, I go up and I say, oops, I made a mistake and I need to correct it. I have no problems of saying that, and I actually think it makes me a better person.
Oh, definitely.
A stronger person.
Definitely.
And probably a little more perfect than it was before. I will never be perfect, but every time I make a mistake, I will be better.
Yes, yes.
So I always say, making mistakes is the first step to make progress. If you don't make mistakes, that means you made the biggest mistakes of your life. You didn't do anything. You know, if you just sit at home, do nothing, and you won't make any mistakes, but you haven't done anything with your life. You wasted your life.
That's right.
So to me, that's the biggest mistake. So I'm very comfortable saying I made a mistake. And so oftentimes people say to me, what's your biggest mistake? I said, it's hard to say what's the biggest. It depends in different areas.
Sure.
You know, as a parent, I wish I was not as strict with my kids, for example, in hindsight. But, you know, hey, I live, I learn.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
And same thing with the marriage. You know, my parents didn't support my marriage. I sort of eloped. And I wish I didn't elope. I wish I listened to my parents.
Gotcha.
But I learned valuable lessons through that marriage.
Life lessons.
I have such a strong marriage now, thanks to the mistakes I made the first time.
Amen.
You know?
Yes.
So, and my husband and I, we often say to each other, you know, gee, we wish we knew each other, you know, like 30 years ago. And I said, no, don't wish that. Because 30 years ago, we may not appreciate each other the way we appreciate each other today.
Wisely said.
And
wisely said.
And I said, you know, 30 years ago, we were chasing something that is not realistic. But that's, you know, you cannot pretend to be 50 when you are 25. Life is just, it's harsh. They make you go through every age make all kinds of mistakes to get to the stage where you're a little bit wiser.
Well, you seem like you have arrived at a stage where you're okay with yourself.
I'm
which
very
is very
okay
important,
with myself.
Which is very important. Let me ask you this. Now, what drew you to Mercer County Community College? Because I have a follow-up after that. What drew you to Mercer County Community College? And I know that professionally,
Yeah.
But what about Mercer? What did it say to you?
Well,
for you?
When initially I wasn't seeking a presidency, as I explained to the
Yes.
search committee, I wasn't thinking much. The minute my husband asked the question, why not? Being an educated person, you like to do research. So I said, let me find out what about Mercer that might fit me. So I started to read a lot about Mercer and the people working at Mercer. So that's why I know a lot of names.
Yes,
I know a
do.
lot of people,
Yes, you
what
do.
they have done. And people ask me, how did you know? I said, oh, thanks to Google.
Yeah, you came smoking. I mean, you really did. I was impressed.
I
Not
read a
joking.
lot.
Yes, you
Because
did.
it's not just I'm preparing to show the committee members that I know about you. It's to answer my own questions. Do I really want to go to Mercer? So I found a couple of things about Mercer. I found number one, we are sitting on a gold mine.
Yes.
It is such a wonderful geographic location.
Agreed.
You have diversity, you have businesses, you have actively engaged community members, and you have committed staff, faculty members. Look at the longevity of the people here. People don't leave here. Well, don't leave for a reason.
That's right.
If they hate where they work, they're out.
That's right.
You can't chain them here.
That's right.
So to me, meeting with this lady, security officer at Trenton campus, I saw her today.
Wow.
I said to her, you are the reason I'm here. And she said, I couldn't believe that, when you came, that was the reason why you came. I literally came to see the site for myself.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and I want to know what this place is like. When I bump into somebody who says, oh, this is a great place, I've been here for 10 years, I don't even know who this person is. And that person doesn't know who I am either. And that, to me, is priceless.
Wow.
So I found you have all the right ingredients to make it the best stew. You have the location, you have the people. Well, gee, let's do something great. I got energy. I got a lot of energy.
Good.
And I want to do it. And we don't have endless time on this earth. So let me move. And so I decided this is it. I am going to come over here and, as they say,
rock the house.
yes.
That's
So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm truly thrilled to be here. I've only been here for 2 weeks, 2 days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've met with the entire student service people, entire facility crew in their shop when the weather is 90 degrees. And they said, you sure, Doc, you want to be in the shop? And I said, you kidding me? I won't change a thing. I don't want to be in my office. It's freezing cold there. So they said, okay, if you're okay with here, we work here. And I said, I work here too. Your work is so important that I can't do. You probably don't want to do my work either. So let's just be colleagues. You do your best work, I do my best work, and we'll be a great team. And they like it. They like it, and I love it. So now I drive around the campus, they all wave to me.
That's good.
And so I feel, even though I'm only 2 weeks, 2 days old,
Mm-hmm.
like I've been here for a long time.
Good.
And I feel very at home
Good.
here.
Good.
People in the community just come out, warmly embraced me. I'm very grateful.
Have you
for
had
this.
much of an opportunity to spend much time in Trenton?
Yes, I've been there 4 times.
Ah,
Four
very
times. You
And
know,
what was your impression of the capital city? May I put you on the spot like
I
that?
feel that, like I said, I actually said it in the room with over 200 people when we had the Mid-New Jersey Chamber of Commerce breakfast. I went there and met with the mayor, Eric Jackson, and several elected officials. And it's the enthusiasm, the commitment to revitalize historic Trenton is so palpable. It's contagious.
Yes.
And so I stood up, you know, even though I'm a newbie, I said, don't forget MCCC when we plan to revitalize our beautiful historic Trenton. We are your partner. We have expertise of curriculum, we have the facility, and we have the experience to do workforce training. So when you bring your business to Trenton, you don't have the space, you don't have the time, you don't have the experience and expertise to train your employees, come to us. We can be your partners. And they love it, and I love it.
I love it.
So it's a win-win situation. Business needed to know they will have the community support if they relocate here. Community college will truly embrace its mission of being a community college when you are out there in the community.
That's right.
And when the communities are vitalized, the college will be enormously successful.
I agree.
And that's what we need to do.
Well, you know what, Doc? I'm going to end on that note. And I look forward, if I may have another opportunity to converse with you.
Absolutely.
Because I think that, first of all, I think you're going to be a wonderful breath of fresh air for all of our communities represented in Mercer County.
Yeah.
And I also think that this is going to, I hope that this interview will provide people a sense of hope and a sense of optimism.
Yes.
That all of us can achieve great things
Absolutely.
if we work together and
Absolutely.
when we work together.
And we are right
Yes.
now.
I'm with you.
I see it. People are pulling together, and even the historically more skeptical people are coming around,
Good.
saying positive things.
Yes, yes.
And to me, it's very hopeful sign.
Good.
And I'm very excited about that.
Well, I want to thank you very, very much for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank
Good
you.
Dr. Wang, right? And ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard our first conversation with our good doctor and new president, Dr. Jianping Wang. Thank you for your listening and for your support and for your kindness. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.